do media edits because right here would be about the time I slip in Ray Charles singing "Here We Go Again." Fandom Wire put out an article that, once again, they've taken a quote out of context and are using it to slam on Jodie Whittaker. Now, as Chris Chibnall told you in the interview with Radio Free Scaro, they were talking about cutting production for COVID for Doctor Who Flux. And like I told you, you can't keep a show off the air for any, the things, split seasons, years off. That kills your fan base eventually. And they took his quote about it was literally down to the wire. And now they've come up with this article that Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who almost killed the multi-billion-dollar BBC franchise. Ain't wrong. That's not what happened, you butt-licking dingus. I'm not kidding. They've been out of the TARDIS since, how long now? And then Chibnall does an interview where he explains what went on with the COVID regulation and all that. Matter of fact, go listen to it yourself. It's over on Radio Free Scaro. They never once considered killing the show because, of what, we had the usual idiots out there speaking, saying ratings suck and blah, blah, blah. Because, as I've told you already, if you go look at the ratings overall for BBC drama for the last few years, they're not doing so well, and that's because more and more people have gone off to streaming. Overnight figures were down across the board. I love that one. Jodie and Chris invented COVID, to destroy. And I'm like, here we go again. We're in 2023. The next series is already filming. Matter of fact, they were filming again, like I said, in studio all this week. I guess it's been pretty snowy over there in the UK. At least that's what I'm hearing. I know we got ice balls falling here this morning. It snowed overnight. But how long is this going to go on? This, completely, factless reporting where we can take any quote out of the air. But then again, that's CNN, I think. But okay, I don't even keep track. A lot of people ask me, Dr. Freedom, don't you keep up on this stuff? I'm like, I don't watch news channels anymore because it's not like the good old days where you had your local regional news and all that. It's basically all network news right down the line now. Even your local stations are part of a network now. It's not like the good old days, like when the 10 o'clock news out here started, it was Channel 43 and it was an independent thing. That's scary too, because that channel was the first one to have the 10 o'clock news, if I remember right, out here. Because I could never figure out, why would you have news at 11 o'clock? Because if you've got to be up for work the next morning early, you're going to, why would you sit up and watch the news? Catch the morning news, So that's why, I think it was Channel 43 started the 10 o'clock news out here. And next thing you know, everybody was on it because, the viewer ratings on that were high. People can watch the news and get to bed a little earlier. But once again, off that track, they took a quote by Chibnall and have once again turned it into, the last few years with this utter disaster, the last few years where, just killing the show, which they weren't. Folks, go look at some of the average ratings of the Capaldi era. Matter of fact, go find a chart and start with the beginning of the Matt Smith era, and you'll notice it's already creeping downward. And it's not necessarily because Matt Smith was a bad doctor, Peter Capaldi was a bad doctor. It's because of the simple fact that streaming became more and more available. And also these these ratings everybody's quoting, and I keep telling them this, That's for BBC One only, for the average overnight viewings. And as you saw, the Queen's funeral didn't even score 4.5 million views. It was like 4.44 million on BBC One. And of course, everybody was running around there for a while going, no, that got like 30 million views. If you added up all the channels, ITV, all the BBC channels, and all that, yes, you came up to a figure somewhere around 29 million. But the overnight consolidated rating for the Queen's funeral was lower than the lowest episode of Flux, I think. But, here I am sitting there going, it's time to move on. Let's look to the future. And then somebody starts dumping these out. That's why, well, I'm glad Radio Free Scarro landed the interview. They wonder why Chris Chibnall said he's gone and has no plans on coming back. I was shocked RTD came back because yeah, I heard about that. But the problem is someone needs to sit down and tell authorities unless there was some top secret negotiation we didn't hear about. Disney has no creative rights to Doctor Who. They bought, they have the streaming and distribution rights for Disney Plus, which of course, pissed off a lot of the fans because, no longer will it be airing on BBC Worldwide outside of the UK, or BBC America, sorry. So now, if you want to watch Doctor Who, you're going to pay. Which, once again, as I brought up, remember how long ago we were talking about, that Disney deal? That Disney deal started back in the Jodie era. So, obviously, Disney saw something there. Michelle Gomez was nearly arrested. Why am I not surprised? Well, that's Michelle's business. Like I said, if she wants to tell the world, she can. If she doesn't, that's on her. We can't, jump up and down and demand stuff like that, if that's her personal business, then that's her personal business, So it's Friday morning out here in the parking lot. You probably can't hear it, but there's little ice balls falling. And it's 33 degrees Fahrenheit out here. And yeah, but and remember, this was the live feed, is what I'm talking about. And normally live productions on BBC One are their highest rate, or things like state events, reality shows, and all that are usually their number one, big viewers these days. Drama is, down. And matter of fact, even the reality shows aren't getting as high as ratings as they used to. But they're still the leaders, pretty much. But still, the leader in BBC drama was pretty much Doctor Who. Okay, they did do both. All right, I figured they would. But still, the numbers are there. And then, of course, when I presented these guys with that fact, they all took off running, screaming into the night like banshees. We got whipped by the middle-aged white fat man. I'm not kidding. They disappeared faster than a fart in the wind. Oh. Because the numbers were right there for anybody to look up. So, given this show, like I said, in its lowest rated episode of, Flux, scored as high as it did, Oh, that's good. Wow, now everybody wants to come this way, and I've got the interior lamp on so I can get decent lighting. And now my head's... Look at this. Tell your sister you were right, Luke. I'm not kidding. That's what I look like. It's shining off my bald dome like... Oh, I look like it. I'm just a tennis ball. Kid, if I go like this and maybe put some dimples, my head looks like a demented golf ball. Look at... My gosh. Yes, you can turn off those bright lights anytime now. So... Matter of fact, why am I even keeping this light on? But now let's turn. See, look, I don't even need the dome light on it. Well, the thing is, I get paranoid about turning the dome light on because once upon a time, I can't remember how many years ago, I came out from work and realized that my one dome light had been on all day, and I was lucky that it didn't drain the battery. All right, now they turned it off. But again, I'm loving this. These spaces have, the thing to make them accessible, and they just parked this Cadillac so far over. Oh my God. It's not like the snow's covering the ground. Sheesh. If I had a caddy like that, it would be in the middle of the spot. I would not have it all the way over like that. I'd be too paranoid. Everybody around here drives big pickup trucks that could eat your car. So once again, yeah, we've got misquotes and all that. Misrepresentation of numbers. Misquotes because they don't want to accept the fact that the last year of Doctor Who did just as well as any of them, if not better in some areas. The Daleks were frightening again. The Cybermen were actually getting decent dialogue again. Like the good old days, back in the day, like with Earthshock and things like that. The Cybermen were actually getting good dialogue, man. And Sontarans were killers again. Sure, they had the occasional good quit, but they weren't, the jokey, versions that we got during the Moffat era. And sure, I don't mind the Sontarans of that era in the later, in the part of the, Davies era. Exactly, the Sontarans are scary again. But people bitch because, I hate to say it, I'm going to say that dirty word, misogyny. No matter what they put on that screen for the last few years. And then, of course, you have, the girls go, oh, I didn't like it, and I'm a girl. And I'm like, well, there was a reason for that, too. And I'm not going into it. At least some of them, not all of them. Hell, look at all the ones who were out there throwing fits because Capaldi was too old. And then they wonder why Peter, who bent over backwards for the fandom, Peter Capaldi, he's nowhere in sight now. He's off doing his own things. And I'm glad he's, gotten some very interesting roles. I've been meaning to watch that show he's in now, and I've already forgot the name of it. I feel like a dingus. Because I think he's a very brilliant actor. And as I told somebody the other day, they were talking about, invasion and version of the Zygons, and I'm like, Peter should have won an award just for that speech. It doesn't matter if the rest of the episode stunk, was good, or however you view it. That speech was amazing. I know people who still get Devil's Hour, thank you, who still get a tear in their eye. I'm like, hey, I can watch reaction videos up to like last week where people have just watched this episode and they've all got tears in their eyes when he's giving that speech. Because it was that damn well performed. That well written as well, that speech. He should have gotten a BAFTA or an Emmy for that alone. And I still can't figure out why he didn't. So once again, folks, yeah, the naysayers are quoting people out of context. They're using every dirty trick in the book to convince you that they're in the majority, that the last few years stung. All I can say is you believe what you want to believe. It's up to you. All right, take care, everyone. I got to run inside. It looks like we are working tomorrow, so there'll be a parking lot tomorrow as well. You get the bonus plan. I'm probably going to sneak in early, and I'll be talking to you from a top secret location if I get early enough. So I may be a little couple minutes late on that, because when I do that, I like to get in Saturday, just go straight into the building and get the Band-Aid ripped off and get it over with. So take care. Catch you all on the flip side. Be kind, be calm, be safe. And we'll see you all hopefully in the future.